My name is Shaniqua Young, and this documentary is called Freddie Gray's Baltimore, Past, Present, and Moving Forward.
Shorty, that was after they tased out of him like that. Man, I've been recording. I've been recording it. I've been recording it. What car they come out of, yo?
He on a bike, yo, right there. Him right there. He on a bike.
I got it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, yo. After they tased Joe like that, you wonder why he can't use his legs. Yeah, I sure will. I sure will.
On this 25-year-old is now complete. The names of the officers involved in his arrest released. The department has suspended these 6 officers with pay. They've released their names, their ages, how long they've been on the force. But officials didn't specify on the reasons why. However, the mayor of Baltimore did tell CNN this. We know that he asked for medical attention. We know that that medical attention was not immediately requested for him. We know that was a mistake. That conclusion, based on the fact that Gray asked for medical help more than once while being transported in a van. In fact, city and police officials revealed Gray requested his inhaler, his asthma inhaler, at the same time officers called for the van. They also disclosed that Gray was put in leg restraints, but officials say they do not know how or when Gray's spinal cord was severed. And what's more, Gray's autopsy revealed his spinal injury was the only trauma to his body.
I'm going to start by reading a poem called April 27th by Tariq Touré in Devin Allen's A Beautiful Ghetto Book. I looked Freddie in the eye today and watched infants drenched in the placenta of revolution stream down from his tear ducts, cascade onto the cement, and roll in the crevices of the sidewalk. I watched puffs of dirt bike smoke swim across his pupils as the 2-wheeled lords of concrete swam through the streets like schools of fish with their arms swaying, saluting every structure built to trap them. I watched a wino drag across his iris with a brown paper bag filled to the brim with yesterday's mistakes. I saw the white chalk that chalked the white of his eyes, whiter than the lies they told us about him killing himself. I heard your mother said you had too much light for the world, for you to deprive us of its sun. We never believed them anyway. Word around town is that you were a comedian, a griot, one of the many that never plant their feet under the blinding stage lights of Saturday Night Live. Word is you could light up a room, a walking, talking Roman candle that could burst through the deepest depression. On the darkest night, a reminder to the suicidal neighbor next door that laughter fills empty hearts far better than apathy ever could. I was told you were somebody among the other somebodies that the system failed purposely. Another notch under a cruel society's waist belt, a testimony to why we deserve these very conditions. I was told that your death was a climax to an American horror film entitled The Black Body, that your skin made you disposable. I saw the place they built for you and so many others to perish and still standing. But by God, Jericho's walls have begun to fall in the minds of the masses. Stay woke is no less a prayer than the monk who meditates demons away with every chant. I looked Freddie in the eye today and saw one man who birthed 1,000 freedom fighters. I saw a man whose eclipse set fire to an army so convicted about being unshackled they would rather taste tear gas than live in another hour under oppression. I saw the world gasp as we torched the colonizers' establishments. I saw the world mourn as the colonizers' business interests became piles of soot. I saw the world oblivious to how we are birthed in the concrete asylum, understand at a cellular level that people like Tyrone West were murdered far before the enemies of the sun crossed his path. I looked Freddie in the eye today. I saw 9mm shells bounce off the pits of his eyes as Keith Davis Jr. played to be delivered from a summer day gone execution. I saw the suppressed screams of 5-year-old Amir as the agents of evil attempted to snatch the souls of his father, Abdul Salam. I saw sorrow on a Wednesday night in November rip across the face of Tawanda Jones, only to be followed by a mystic courage that could only be reserved for the mothers of our universe. I saw your eyes cloud with promise because a new city had been birthed, in the minds of us who were still here in the physical. I saw your face become colorful, overrun with all hues of people, standing against every atom of what you died for. I looked Freddie in the eye today. I saw a martyr who fueled a renaissance, assembled a village, and for the child who looks outside their window and is greeted by concrete promises, they too look in his eyes, and what they see is still being determined. And what we know is that this is not the end. And for you murderers, they couldn't have looked in your eyes, or else they would have seen a people willing to sacrifice everything so that our children never have to bargain on their knees for their tomorrows again. They would have known that this is not the generation that waits on moral arcs of the universe to bend, but that we will break and shatter injustice wherever and whenever we see fit. I looked Freddie in the eye today. I thought this poem was extremely powerful because it talked about the systemic oppression of African Americans. In one part of the poem, Tariq Touré goes on to talk about how Freddie Gray birthed 1,000 freedom fighters. If you look in the midst of the riots, there were a lot of youth, and I feel like it made the youth more aware and in tune with politics and what's going on in their community, and it gave them the sense that they can invoke change. It was interesting to me that he compared the business owners to colonizers because it shows the effects of gentrification on urban communities. As you see, a lot of these people are already born into a destruct and corrupt system, and so they don't have options. So it does seem as though their chances were far limited prior to their birth. In the aftermath of the riots, a lot of people criticized the way that the citizens of Baltimore handled the events with the protests and the riots. However, the news media did not show that there were days and days of peaceful protests prior to any violence erupting in the communities. I do believe that this was the perfect opportunity to spark change in Baltimore. I believe that it was the responsibility of the leaders and elected officials to step up and to make themselves known and present in the community, to engage themselves with the citizens and to let the youth know that they are not alone, to let them know that the feelings that they are feeling are absolutely normal and that they should be passionate about their community, that they should be passionate about making change. The violence and the chaos amidst the peaceful protests were just a mere reflection of what Baltimore stood for and what Baltimore represented in the riots. So what you see here is not thugs, rather young people crying out desperately for attention, crying out for access to resources, crying out for basic privileges granted to us by the United States Constitution, in which we are denied every day in our own communities, sometimes within our own houses. What saddens me is that the majority of the business owners and the majority of the police officers in the communities surrounding the Sandtown Winchester neighborhood are not from the Sandtown Winchester neighborhood. Having local police supervise and patrol the areas would be of great benefit to a city such as Baltimore, because having people that look like you, that are from the same background as you, that have been through some of the same plights as you, would definitely help to make great change, because the community would then know that they have people that they can depend on. What I want to see is more people that are representative of the communities and office and the local positions. What I want to see is the young people educated on the resources and the opportunities that are available to them within the communities and outside of the communities. I believe that the leaders need to engage with the young people and also engage them in the communities, help them find trades and skills, help them find out what their strengths and what their weaknesses are, help them be productive members of society. Otherwise, as I mentioned, then there will be the generational curses and the systemic oppression will continue.
your leg, snap your neck, meant to kill you, to sever your spine. No matter what, there's no good reason why. Talking these killer cop blues. I'm talking my family to you. See, my dad was a cop, and his dad was a cop, and my uncles are cops, and my cousins are cops. I'm partly here 'cause of cops, and I love all those cops. I know not every cop's a racist, murdering cop, but this is bigger than the people I love.
Going forward, we must hold those in authority accountable for their actions. We must hold them responsible for what they are doing and the destruction that they bring to our communities. We must educate each other and educate ourselves. As a victim of police brutality, I believe it is my job to tell my story and the stories of others who are not here to do the same, and hope that one day we see change, and pray that their names do not die in vain. Moving forward, I would say one of the most impactful processes is going to be the decriminalization of marijuana. You see, oftentimes, a lot of youth are put into the penal and judicial system at the hands of petty offenses, from walking around with a dime bag, whether it was with the intent to sell or to use it. You see a lot of opportunities are taken away from these young boys due to marijuana charges, and though most of the use is recreational, and although it is illegal, it is pretty fair to say that a dime bag of weed or $10 should not be the determinant of one's future. I think that if we find ways to strategically help and to strategically plan, then we will definitely see a greater impact on the youth itself. If we invest more money into, as I mentioned, schools and education, and places like training centers and after school centers, recreation centers, parks. If we invest money into things like that, then the youth will have an outlet. Also, of course, with the growing mental health issue in Maryland and in the world in general, we do see that there is a growing need of people to be ready to train.
Talking these Freddie gray blues. Talking what happened to you. You're just 25.
So again, as you see, we have Rest in Peace, Freddie Pepper Gray. Be more successful. You see there are some visuals to represent the opposition of police. In the bottom right corner, there's a picture that says strength, seek knowledge, unity. If we stick together, you see that the combined efforts are far more impactful on the future. And I think that is what most people do not realize. There are the riots and things like that. There are, of course, negative representations, but altogether, if you look at this picture right here, this picture is what Baltimore is represented in this situation. Baltimore is united. The people are sticking together, and right here, there's a list of people whose dreams were stolen.